Yo, what's up fanbase? It's your boy Blaze Hollow, bringing you one of the most popular series on this channel. It's something that's been requested to be given a part 12 a lot, so I'll be giving you What If Deku Ate the Hormone Fruit. I do wish to apologize for taking so long to get back to this series, but I wanted to try some new stories along with trying something new on the channel, but I will not waste your time any longer. Let's roll that intro and get into it.
I honestly don't think you can become a hero.
Not knowing how long they had to strategize, the three of them came up with the best strategy. Shinso then got an idea. Tsuyu, how confident are you in your jumping capability? Tsuyu was confused about the question but then thought about it. I would say I'm pretty capable. Why? Shinso didn't answer that question, but instead he turned towards Tokoyami. Can Dark Shadow be used as a glider? Tokoyami facepalmed, realizing something so obvious that he could have done. I believe it should be capable, but I don't think it can carry all three of us. Shinso smirked as he walked towards the edge of the boat towards the villains. Oh, don't worry about me. The moment I leap, I want the both of you to head off into the air towards land. I'm going to deal with the villains. Tsuyu quickly got onto her feet and grabbed Shinso by the shoulder. Are you crazy? We understand that your quirk is powerful, but you would have to get close to a couple of them, and by the time you do that, they would swarm you. Shinso was still annoyed about what he heard earlier and smacked her hand right off his shoulder. You truly do not know what I am capable of. I've been training for years to be able to do what my sensei can do, and it's finally time for me to show off my own skills. He then turned around to face her, and if you're going to be difficult, I might have to knock you out. Tokoyami quickly had Dark Shadow get between the both of them. Now is not the time for the both of you to be fighting or causing unnecessary hazards. He then looked at Dark Shadow, nodding his head as a piece of it started to wrap around Tsuyu. We should follow his plan. Even if he does get captured, we can get him help sooner and get somebody with a better quirk suited to this location. Tsuyu really did not like this plan. You better not die. I have so many things I need to ask you. Shinso shook his head as he put his hoodie on and tightened his gloves to make sure that they wouldn't get in the way. Oh, don't worry. There is definitely a conversation between the both of us that we need to have, but for now, both of you get into position. Once everybody was in position, Shinso leaped off the boat towards the villain, stepping onto the air like it was a platform. After a few hops, he swung his leg back, releasing a massive slice of air pressure, this being the sign for Tokoyami to get airborne, having Dark Shadow shape itself into a glider the best that he could. As they were riding the wind from the backlash all the way towards the shore, once they both landed on the beach, they were about to turn back and yell that they were safe, only to be stunned with their mouths wide open, because not only did that attack make a lot of wind in the area, it actually sliced the entire shipwreck zone in half, making a massive gash in the ground and water. Tsuyu was in shock from what she just witnessed. How is something like that even possible? What did he do? Tokoyami felt like his eyes were about to pop out of his skull, trying to fathom what he was looking at. I don't know, but let's just be grateful that he's on our side. While Shinso was in the air, he used his capture scarf to grab a hold of one of the villains that was being pulled under by the changing currents, only for him to be brought into the air and held up by the man's shirt. Alright, scumbag, what are your plans here? Who are you after? And if you're able to answer some of these questions, I'll mark you down for a lesser sentence. If not, we're gonna have to get a lot more violent. The villain was squirming in fear, realizing that this kid could kill him at any moment if he chose to. Listen, I really don't know anything. I was just told that we were supposed to come here and deal with a couple of kids, that's all. Shinso was annoyed with that answer. Are you sure you want to play dumb with me? He took took his other hand and pointed one of his fingers as he quickly jabbed it into the villain's shoulder. That was a warning shot, so if you don't start telling me what I want to hear, you're going to get a finger pistol to your other shoulder. The villain screamed out in agony, almost like he was shot by a bullet as he couldn't even move that arm anymore. Fine, I'll tell you what I do know. The boss is the guy with the white hair and hands all over his face, while the guy that was made out of purple mist is the way that we got here and the way we're supposed to exit. But for some weird reason, they're supposed to be like this secret weapon thing that they believe can kill All Might, but that's all I know. I'm really that low on the totem pole, man. Shinso took in the information and then nodded his head. Fine, I believe you. I don't need you anymore. The villain was still in fear for his life, wanting to grab onto his shoulder, but he knew that if he made any subtle movements in any wrong way, this could possibly make his life even more hellish than it already is. So you're going to let me go, right? Shinso smirked as he dropped the villain, watching him rush towards the impacting currents that were below him. Sure, have a good swim with your friends. Don't forget to breathe. After watching the villain splashed down into the water and not coming up for a few seconds, he then started to use Moonwalk to go back towards the shore and his allies. Okay, I know that the plan was a little fast-paced, but I thought it was for the best. Tokoyami was finally able to compose himself. We're both fine, but why didn't you tell us that you had strength like that? Shinso was looking towards the two nearby zones, wondering which one they should go to, wanting to avoid the plaza for the moment. It's something that Sensei taught me. Always keep them guessing on what you're capable of. Tsuyu was curious and wanted to see if she could possibly learn this style for herself. Is Sensei able to teach this to anyone, or is it only you who was able to learn these techniques? Shinso didn't really feel like giving away too much information. It doesn't matter at the moment. We need to decide which zone we're going to check out next. We need to get the rest of our classmates before we start heading towards the plaza. I was able to get some information off of that villain that I was speaking to. Tokoyami looked towards both zones, seeing that one was covered in fire and the other one had a dome around it. Well, if we're not heading towards the plaza, I would say we should head towards the zone that has a dome on it. If it has more darkness, I should be able to use Dark Shadow more. But if we go to the city that's on fire, my abilities become more limited. Shinso nodded his head, appreciating the info. And what about you, Tsuyu? Tsuyu didn't really know what she wanted to do. I'd rather us head towards the plaza, but since I'm going to be outvoted, I say that we should go to the zone covered by a dome. The flaming area will dry me out too quickly, which will weaken me. Shinso nodded, feeling like they finally have a plan. Alrighty then, let's start heading towards the dome. Once we have a big enough group of allies, I'll start giving out the information that I got. We cut away to the burning city zone, where we find things have been very lively. Izuku herself was sitting on top of a pile of unconscious villains, while Kirishima was fighting off the last villain that tried to jump him, while Bakugo was nursing his side, seeing that he had a few cut wounds from his fight. Izuku saw this as an opportunity as she got up. Bakugo, you should let me look at those. There's a chance that it could get infected or the villain's weapons could have been poisoned. It's best to deal with it as soon as possible. Bakugo started to back away, wanting to keep a distance from the person that took away his manhood. Do I look stupid to you? If I let you get anywhere near me, you're gonna do something else. Izuku put her hands on her hips while putting a pouting look on her face. You know, just because I assaulted you for payback after all these years doesn't mean that I take my situation as a medical professional in training as a joke. I do know how to actually heal you. Kirishima gave a finishing blow to his adversary and saw the situation. Man, I know the both of you have some problems to deal with and you could talk about them once we're not in danger, but it's better to let her fix you up just in case, so you don't bleed out to death or get infected with something. Bakugo did not want to admit it, but his side did hurt. Even though his hand was covering it, he could feel the blood all over it. Gritting his teeth and hating himself for this situation, he decided to finally relax. Fine, but the moment I feel like you're doing something shady, I'm pulling you away. Izuku smiled with joy, looking over the wound, and started to pull out some medical supplies out of her utility belt. I'm going to have to inject you with some adrenaline hormones into your body to nullify some of the pain. Once I'm done with that, I'll wrap up your wounds. Bakugo had a bad feeling, not knowing what to expect from Izuku's injection, but he didn't really have a choice in the matter. Whatever, just get it over with so I can get some distance from you again. Being this close makes my skin crawl. Izuku kept a professional smile on her face, but underneath she had a smile of wicked joy, knowing that the main task of dealing with her former bully was finally about to be finished. Got it, just make sure not to move for me, okay? She then began to pump the adrenaline hormone in to make the pain stop, but also mixed it with some female hormones, putting them on a delay, but also consume of any male hormones, knowing that this will slowly cause the transformation to happen. Removing her finger, she then wiped them off, then proceeded to finish wrapping the wounds. Alright, you should be good in just a few seconds. You'll be able to move around again like nothing ever happened. Bakugo actually did feel a lot better. The pain in his side no longer bothered him as he started to move his arm like he was stretching. Damn, whatever you injected me with definitely did work. We should start heading towards the plaza. Most of the real villains are there. Kirishima was still looking around, making sure there weren't any more villains that were trying to jump them. That's true, but we should go looking for others. If we were attacked, I can only imagine how much trouble the others might be having. Izuku started to stretch like she was getting ready to do something tedious. I think that the both of you should go looking for the others while I head towards the plaza to help out my father, even though he should probably be done by now. Kirishima did a double take from what he just heard. Are you seriously going off on your own? That's dangerous. You could get overwhelmed. Izuku finished her stretching as she started to leap up into the air using moonwalk. Don't worry about me, boys. There hasn't been a man out there that can overwhelm me. Both of them just watched her leap off, kind of annoyed, feeling like they just got left behind. Kirishima was about to change tune when he noticed Bakugo rocket off into the air towards the plaza, leaving the redhead there, making him feel kind of inadequate. This is why I hate not having a flashy quirk. He was about to start moping when he shook his head and pounded both of his cheeks with his hand. No, don't give yourself that. You gotta get into the fight. They're expecting you to keep up. After about 5 minutes of their group running/flying, they actually came across another group of students, prompting Izuku to land to see who they ran into. Bakugo did not share the same philosophy as he kept on flying towards the plaza. As Kirishima was finally able to stop, seeing that there were a bunch of new figures in front of him, along with Izuku, these figures revealed themselves to be Ochako, Soji, and Tokage, who all looked to be a little banged up and tired, but not in any life-threatening situation. Ochako was so happy to see Izuku to the point that she hugged her so tight. Oh, thank God that we found you. The zone that we were sent in was up in the mountains. We were completely surrounded by villains, and this one guy had this electric quirk. If it wasn't for Tokage's ability, we probably would have been captured. Izuku was confused. Does anybody want to explain that in better detail? Tokage scratched the back of her head. Well, what she means is once we were temporarily captured by the villain group, I broke my body apart when they weren't paying attention, and kinda used their boss's quirk to take out his own men because he was trying to hit me. Kirishima thought about it for a second, trying to imagine this in his own mind. Oh, I see. Since you broke your body apart, you made him believe that you were behind him or behind someone, right? Then he would strike out at you. Tokage just shrugged her shoulders, knowing that it really wasn't that difficult difficult to figure out. Pretty much, I did get zapped a little bit by him and a little bit by the crossfire, but I am okay. Oji was looking up towards the sky, seeing one of his very loud and very annoying classmates soaring towards the plaza. It's good to see that Bakio hasn't lost his fighting spirit since the battle trial, but should we try to keep up with him? Izuku thought about it for a second, wanting to go help her father, but then she looked at the state of everybody else. No, we should take a minute to let me go over all of your injuries and allow everybody to catch their breath, then we can go help. I doubt that my father is in any real danger. If they're able to take him down, then we should really be scared. Everybody agreed as we cut away to the landslide zone where Todoroki has frozen majority of the zone along with most of the villains that were trying to attack Mina, who was using Moonwalk to be their eye in the sky for any sneak attacks, while Denki was still fiddling with his headset trying to get a signal out to the school, but the signal seems to still be jammed. I hate to admit it, but it doesn't seem to be a way to get a signal out to anyone as long as we're within the USJ. Mina was trying to keep a positive attitude as she saw that they were getting close to the edge of the landslide zone, but was pretty close to one of the other zones nearby, which was the ruin zone. It looks like we might have gone a little bit off course because we're closer to the ruin zone than towards the plaza. Todoroki just kept on marching forward. Does it really seem to matter? Once we're at the between part of the zones, we can just go straight from there. Denki was shivering a little bit. Once he didn't have something to occupy his mind, he realized how cold it was because of all the ice. Dude, can you maybe chill out? I know that this is the main use of your power, but you're going to freeze me to death if you continue to throw out any more ice. Todoroki didn't really seem to care. Just deal with it. Would you rather be fighting villains or be cold? Mina came back down to the ground, realizing that her team didn't communicate very well. Look, can we stop with all this sour mood? I understand that we're in the middle of a crisis, but it doesn't mean we have to act cold towards one another. Todoroki was now confused, not understanding why Mina was upset. I don't understand. I thought I was communicating perfectly. Mina looked into his eyes and realized that he wasn't being sarcastic or lying. He just didn't actually know any better. Oh my god, how often do you interact with people? Todoroki kept on walking for a second as he thought about it. Not often. Besides my family at dinner, I usually keep to myself. Both Mina and Denki felt so bad for Todoroki as they gave him a hug, which made Todoroki feel uncomfortable and politely pushed the both of them off. I do not understand why the both of you did that, but like I've said before, once we're done with this, I need to speak with Izuku privately. Mina was curious, wondering if she might have a new love rival, so she decided to test the waters. So, do you have a crush or something on Izuku? Todoroki gave a blank look like Mina just spoke to him in a different language. I truly do not understand what you mean, but no, I have a feeling she might be able to help me get back at my father. Denki felt like there was a potential prankster within Todoroki, so he got a big cheeky smile on his face. You know, if you're planning on pranking your dad, I might be able to help you with that. Before this conversation could go any further, they started to hear screaming of 3 people coming towards them from the ruin zone, but also at an angle that was going away from their group and more towards the plaza. But it seemed like they were being chased by a few things and decided to rush into action, trying to catch up. Once they were close enough, Mina identified the 3 people that were running away were Zero, Mineta, and Ida, being chased by a bunch of villains with insect-like mutations, so they were spitting acid everywhere, trying to swing at them, but it just looked like they were being monstrous with no sign of human intelligence. We got a bunch of mutant types chasing after 3 of our classmates. What's the plan? Todoroki really didn't wait to make a plan as he just stepped down on the ground, spreading his eyes, covering the villains, but also accidentally catching his classmate. The situation was taken care of. Denki was freaking out as he ran towards the part of the glacier that was surrounding his friends. Hey, Hey guys, hang in there, we're gonna get you out. He then turns to Todoroki. What the hell, man? Couldn't you just stop the ice once you captured the villains? Todoroki shrugged his shoulders, looking at his hand that was partially covered in frost. I thought I had a big enough range between the both of them, but it turns out that I didn't and caught them by accident. Mina ran over and started using her acid to melt the ice to free the students that were trapped within. Are all of you alright? Ito was shivering, looking around, wondering what happened when he noticed the ice and put 2 and 2 together. Yeah, we're fine. Thanks for saving us. Zero rubbed both of his arms together, trying to get warm. Could you at least have done it without freezing us alongside the villains? It was bad enough that we were exhausted from running, but now we're cold. Ina giggled a little bit, thinking that they must be okay if they're making such childish complaints. Oh, come on, you big babies. Would you rather still be running from those villains or just be a little cold? Mineta had a perverted look on his face as he was latching on to Mina's leg. My passion for the pink goddess keeps me warm. Mina's skin crawled a little bit, not liking when people basically drool over her like this. She was flattered but also disgusted, trying to pry Mineta off of her. I appreciate your kind words, but can you please let go of my leg? Mineta was trying to keep his grip while crying. But you're the only reason that I don't feel cold. Please just let me hold on for a little bit longer. As he was rubbing his head up against her leg while also letting out perverted giggles. I promise once I'm fully warm I'll let go. Mina finally felt too grossed out as she kicked him off, launching him face first into the glacier. Now I feel like I need to sanitize my entire leg. I hate perverts like him. Cutting back to Shinso's group, about to arrive right in front of the downpour zone's main entrance, but at that same moment the door blew off of its hinges as he could hear coughing and complaining from the other side. I think you might have overdone it on the explosives. I knew we should have gone further back. Just for the record, did any of us actually check to see if the door was really locked before we blew it up? Shinso grabbed onto his capture scarf, thinking that they just walked into an ambush. Who's there? Identify yourselves. The first person to come out of the smoke was Momo, who was still disoriented from everything. After her was Jiro, who was in searing pain holding onto her earphone jack, almost like something nearly destroyed them along with her eardrums. As the final person seemed to be brushing off dust and debris and seeming to be the least amount hurt from the situation was Kendo. Kendo was the first to respond to everything. Easy, Shinso, it's just us. We were trying to get away out of the downpour zone when Momo just assumed that the door was locked and threw a couple grenades at it. Jiro, kind of annoyed, was grabbing onto Momo's outfit and shaking her back and forth, and didn't give us any warning. My ears feel like they're bleeding. Do you not realize how sensitive I am to sound? Momo, feeling a little bit embarrassed and concerned, looked towards the other group with a smile, saying, please help me. Well, we didn't know if we were being followed or not, so I just thought if I blew up the door along with the wall, we'd be able to get out quicker, and it might make people hesitate about jumping us. Shinso coughed a little bit, trying to get the situation directly on him. I'm glad to see that you ladies are okay, but that explosion might have brought more attention to this area. We might want to move. I got a feeling that most of the action is taking place in the plaza, and the closer we keep on getting to it, the more that bad feeling keeps on getting to me. But that's where I'm gonna leave it off this time, guys. I'm sorry this took so long. I didn't mean to be away for 2 months, but moving's been a headache, and this story sometimes stresses me out a little bit. It's not one of my favorites, but I know that it's all of you guys' favorites, so I keep on trying to get it done. So with all that said, I'm out. Peace.